In this story, how travel impacts perspective. I'm Joanne Greene. Time is always relative, as in a day in the life of my 4-year-old grandson is a much greater percentage of his life to date than a day is for me. Appliances, furniture, clothing, and damn near everything else back in the day were built to last, at least for 10 or 20 years, if not for generations. Planned obsolescence was a strategy. It took forethought and greed to evolve. An old home in my neighborhood, in most California neighborhoods, might be 60 or 80 years old. The oldest building in San Francisco is the Mission Dolores Church, made of adobe and dedicated in 1791. With this as my backdrop, I was struck day after day while visiting Croatia and Greece at how old, how intricate, how brilliantly constructed, and how well-preserved structures were. Until we were there, I was not aware of Butrint, an ancient city in southern Albania, inhabited since prehistoric times, and then by the Greeks, Romans, Byzantines, and Ottoman. Archaeological ruins in the middle of a spectacular national park. I'd heard of, but could never have imagined the beauty nor the extraordinary display of architectural genius that was the temple to Apollo at Delphi, on the southwestern slope of Mount Parnassus. In 5th grade, I'd written a report on the Parthenon in Athens, and can still remember poring over photos and descriptions at the age of 10, excited and astounded. Surely after my childhood research, the sight of the Parthenon would not render me speechless, yet it did. Along with the buildings of Butrint, the temple at Delphi, the ancient walls of Split and Korčula, Dubrovnik and Gjirokastor, the Acropolis had me mesmerized. I kept snapping photos, every angle a miraculous new view, as though by preserving these images, I could make the buildings last even longer, as though I could capture the longevity, the brilliance of the craftsmanship, the architects, the archaeologists, to soak up their knowledge. We witnessed countless perfectly formed vases and pitchers, tools and artifacts that had been unearthed by experts dating back to the 6th century BCE. They'd been buried in the ground for thousands of years, and they'd lasted. Consider the wars, the rise and fall of civilizations, the achievements in every conceivable field that took place in just that very space, era after era. What from my tiny moment of time on this planet might last 4,000 years? Radiation? A tooth? I can barely hang on to a t-shirt for 2 seasons before holes start to appear. The Acropolis Museum was built above an enormous site at which dedicated scientists of all types have identified layers of structures built by the Greeks, then above that by the Romans, and above that by the Venetians, each civilization adding its clearly identifiable advancements and style. Identifiable, that is, to scholars who've spent much of their lives in study and research. A passionate lover of animals, birds, trees, and landscapes of all types, I knew this trip would be different. I would be perusing cobblestone streets, feasting on Mediterranean food, absorbing the art and culture of a new part of the world. I was surprised to learn from our guides what it meant to live under Tito, of how much was lost to residents of the former Yugoslavia when Croatia, Montenegro, Albania, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Macedonia, Slovenia, Kosovo, and Serbia became independent. Suddenly, soccer mates were on opposing teams and soon would serve opposing armies. What I did not anticipate was how moved I would be to see ancient ruins sprinkled in among 20th and 21st century buildings, the restaurants and shops, schools, hospitals, and museums, a part of the landscape then and now. I'm aware more than ever of how insignificant we are as individuals, communities, and nations, at how our time here, whether 70, 80, or even 100 years, constitute but a minute, and how sad it is that with all of our knowledge of history, culture, anthropology, and more, we choose to build things that get tossed into the landfill rather than contributing more to future generations. Thanks so much for listening to In This Story, my memoir-style micro-essays. I've written a full-length book, By Accident, a memoir of letting go, which is now available in paperback, as an ebook, and as an audiobook. You can purchase it online or at your favorite local bookstore. If they don't have it in stock, they can order it through Publishers Group West, a division of Ingram. Again, it's By Accident, a memoir of letting go by Joanne